Hello. I'm coming a little different today. Good evening and welcome to the Rebound Coach Live. I am so glad you're here today. My name is Dallas Cohen, also known as the Rebound Coach, and this is an episode of the Rebound Coach Live. If you have never spent time with me before here in this virtual space, I'm so glad you're here. And if this is not the first time you are joining me or watching the replay, I also want to say thank you so much. I really do greatly appreciate your likes and your comments and your shares. It blesses me tremendously to know that this time is bringing value to your life. So, if it is your first time meeting me and you're like, who is this purple person on my newsfeed? Why are you here? What are you talking about? Uh, really glad to meet you. My name is Dallas Cohen, the Rebound Coach, and I'm a life coach. Life coaches help people get unstuck. And so I have the honor and privilege of serving high achieving women of faith who've lived through betrayal, trauma, or abuse, reclaim territory in their relationship with themselves. So that journey for me started, actually, it started in childhood. However, it started in um, at the end of my 10-year marriage. I was married for 10 years to a fellow who did not want me to be alive anymore. And unfortunately, he and his mistress had been plotting my murder for months by the time I found out about it toward the end of that 10-year marriage. And so, through a series of absolute divine events, and I'll share this. I'll share the 5 minute version of the story with you. Um, it didn't make sense that I had a marriage like that. Being the person that I was raised in a good godly home. I had married parents. They loved God. They loved each other. They were married for a lifetime. At the same time, I was like 2 out of 4 women and girls was molested when I was young, from the time I was 8 to the time I was 16. And that radically affected how I saw myself, how I related to God, and how I related to men. So, fast forward when I met the person that I married and later divorced, there were definitely red flags there. There were definitely reasons not to do this. At the same time, as a praying woman, I believed that God was with us. And because of that, I believed that whatever situation would come, we'd be able to withstand it. We would overcome it. It would just all work out. And so, trouble did come right away and never quite left. I call it a cycle of coping and crisis. So this is when, you're just kind of barely making it. You're not thriving in your relationship. You're coping, right? You've learned how to live every day. And when I say live, it was like uh, I would get up and go to work. I'd work all day. I'd come home. We would argue. He would leave the house. I would cry myself to sleep and get up and go back to work. And that was the cycle for quite some time. And it was really rather hopeless. And there were years I just was suicidal and hopeless and didn't see a way out. I was very committed to my marriage. Was very committed to God, and believed my commitment to God meant I needed to be committed to marriage. And wasn't trying to leave the marriage, but didn't see any hope. And fast forward, as things progressed, he made his decisions to leave, and um, I found out I was not safe. I was not safe at all, and God rescued me. That's the quick end of the story. Um, there were a series of events that you can only find in a movie. That's how outrageous it was. But God's hand was in every single moment. And not only am I alive, I have such opportunity in front of me. My children and I are healthy and well and growing. And the way I share the story is, I could allow the identity that my former husband had planned for me, and quite frankly, I agreed to. I agreed to um, a certain kind of treatment. It was presented to me, and I agreed to it. And I could allow that to tell me who I was and who I was allowed to become and how many days I had left on the planet. Or I could choose life. So I wrote a book out of that entire situation. And the name of the book, and I didn't put it in my hand before we came, so I'm reaching to grab it. The name of the book is I Choose Life. It's hard to see in this light. Rewrite your love story and change your legacy. And it has been a roadmap. It has been a comfort. It has been a solace to many women and people who love women or people who have been in abusive relationships, who've had childhood sexual abuse, who's had unsafe touch, and the results of that, who are, unlearning and healing from damages in their relationship with themselves, in their relationship with their creator, in their relationship with other people. This is my story, but not just my story. It is insight. Um, it is answers for people who have certain kind of questions. So, if you or someone you care about has experienced betrayal, trauma, or abuse of any kind, this is for them. If anyone has experienced domestic violence, this is for them. If you have a trauma story that you're recovering from, this is for you. You can find it at thereboundcoach.com. That is the THE, reboundcoach.com/book. And if you happen to be in the Tampa Bay area, one of the beautiful things that I'm so honored to do, I'm so honored. For the past several years, I've created sacred spaces for healing, for connection, for sisterhood, for connection to God, for connection to self, for connection to others, and really making tangible the self-love walk. And so if you are in the Tampa Bay area for Valentine's Day, and in the description of this live, you heard me talk about Valentine's Day. Typically, it's a day that couples get to celebrate their love for each other, and kids give candy to each other and little love notes, and and it's fun for couples, and it's fun for kids, and that in between place when if you're not a couple and not a kid, it's kind of weird, and you're either weirdly lonely and awkward, or you're trying to pretend that everything's great, or something in between. Anyway, you as a potentially single person can have a very meaningful, a very restorative, a very intimate, even, dare I say that word, experience around Valentine's Day. Loving yourself and receiving love. It is such a misnomer that if we guard our hearts from receiving other people's love, we'll be protecting ourselves. Like, we know in our brains, like, that's not a healthy strategy, right? You end up prickly on the outside and keeping other people away, but also very lonely. Not because there's not love around you, but because you have not been open to receive it. And this is just an opportunity to come receive love. So I just wanted to invite you. I am hosting an event. It's called A Day of Healing Safe Touch. A Day of Healing Safe Touch. And it is on Saturday, February 11th from 10 in the morning to 3 in the afternoon. All-day retreat at a beautiful property called Shiloh Farms. It's very peaceful and tranquil and beautiful and sacred. And I am excited. And it is absolutely free. Absolutely free. And all you have to do is come. So, if you would like more information about A Day of Healing Safe Touch, you can go to thereboundcoach.com/events. The reboundcoach.com/events. And there you will find all the information you need to register. It is free, but registration is required. And you don't want to miss it. And we feed you and everything. It's a blessing. So I'm excited about that. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. A beautiful healing, restorative day. Yes. So, okay. So today, this is part 1 of Self-Love Chronicles, and we're going to be talking about self-love for a few weeks as we prepare for February and Valentine's Day, when people are thinking about love. So, I want to talk about self-love and what if being nice to yourself isn't always nice, doesn't always feel nice. That's what I'll say. And so when we think about self-love, when you think about that, what do you think about? So if you are watching this live or on the replay, go ahead and put in the comments, what do you think about when you think about self-love? Like, I think about commercials like Calgon, take me away. Like people who are, in bubble baths with chocolate and champagne and candlelight with nice music, and they're by themselves. Like, oh, this is self-love. And that might be like a fun thing to go do. Or someone getting a massage, or someone doing retail therapy and they're going shopping. Any of those things, that's my stereotypical self-love, right? Or I took a rest day, right? And those things might be really, really good, okay, or fun to do. If you think about how we love other people, how do we show love to other people? And so, of course, many people have heard of love languages, acts of service, or physical touch, or affirmation, words of affirmation, quality time, and there's one other I'm not thinking of right now, but any of those are means that we show love to other people. So how would we think about the love we have for a child, right? I have 2 daughters. They're fabulous people, and I love them so very much. And one of the ways that I show love to them is boundaries. No, you can't have that thing. No, you can't go over there. No, you can't look at this. No, you can't have that. Right? And that doesn't sound very Calgon, take me away. Right? But it is love. It is love. And so, what are ways that we can show love to ourselves that may not feel like self-comfort? One of my mentors, Leslie Vernick, talks about self-care versus self-comfort. So self-comfort is a bowl of ice cream, or, for me, cheese. I'm a fan of cheese. So that can be self-comfort, right? Like, I'm a little stressed out. My emotions are not quite right now. I don't know how to handle it. So I'm going to eat a bowl of something with cheesy pasta because that's what I like, right? So that's one way to do it. Self-comfort. Or I'm going to scroll on TikTok for 45 minutes because I'm procrastinating getting my work done because I'm overwhelmed by my work, right? That's another thing that I've fallen into. And we're connecting here on social media. So think about your social media habits. Do you end up coming to social media more often than you want to and spending longer than you want to be there? That's by design. Okay? That's not an accident. But aside from the weight that so easily besets us, Scripture tells us that we can put down that weight that so easily besets us, right? So that means we have power over it. And if it has power over us, that's only because we have allowed it to be so. So let's think about ways that we can treat ourselves with self-love that is not necessarily in the vein of self-comfort. It can be. It can be. It can be as simple as continuing to show up for your commitments. That is a way to show yourself self-love. Commitment is something that you still do even when it stops being fun. And all things, especially the good things, stop being fun at some point, right? But if you're committed to that thing, you continue to show up. That is a form of self-love because you committed something to yourself. You committed something, or you might have shared that commitment with someone else. Hey, I'm going to work out, 3 times a week. This is the 3rd week in January. This is the time when people start giving up on their goals and their year goals. So this is that time where you're discovering, okay, did I prefer this? Is this a wishing thing? Or am I really committed to this? Right? Showing up for your commitments is a sign of self-love. Okay? The same way you would encourage someone that you were taking care of, a child, or if you're a coach of any type, a sports coach or anything, you'd want to encourage that person to stay committed to whatever they said they were going to do. The same for you. It's showing self-love to yourself when you continue to show up. It's also showing yourself self-love when you bring in the support that you need to accomplish any goal. To accomplish any goal. If you were struggling to clean and organize your home, there are professionals that help with that. And you might be like, oh, well, I can do it. I can do it. If you haven't done it, you're having a challenge. And it's okay to have a challenge. There's no shame in your game to get professional help for anything. Anything. I need to pay off my debt. I need to get my finances in shape. I need to get my body in shape. I need to get my relationship game in shape. I'd like to grow in my relationship with God. All of these things you can get support in. So reaching out for support and saying, hey, I need some help in this area. Will you help me? Is self-love. It really is. Being accountable to others in the goals that you've set for yourself is self-love. Not letting yourself, not enabling your failure, not enabling your setbacks, enabling your identity shifting into the person you want to become. Setting yourself up to succeed. That is self-love. So, just want to encourage you to walk in self-love this week. I'm going to put in the chats how you can get information on the Day of Healing Safe Touch. Making sure I spelled everything correctly. Okay. That's how you, yes. Okay, great. It popped up. I like that. So that is how you get in touch with me about a Day of Healing Self-Touch. Nope. I said it wrong. A Day of Healing Safe Touch. It's very important. That the touch is healing and that the touch is safe. That's very, very important. So you can go to the link in the comments to get more information on the event coming up on February 11th. I sure would love to see you there. It is a women's event. And like I said, it's absolutely free. You just have to register. So check that out. Give yourself grace instead of judgment. Don't beat yourself up. Be kind. Be kind to yourself like you would be kind to a person that you love. Okay? That's how you show love to yourself. One of the ways. Be kind. Don't beat yourself up. The inner critic that's in your head, treat it like you would treat somebody who was bullying your child, right? You wouldn't tolerate that. Same thing. If someone who was saying mean things to somebody you love in front of you, you would not tolerate that. You'd be like, no way, you can't say that, especially not in front of me. I know you didn't. Right? Same thing. Don't let you beat up you in front of you. Stand up and say, no, you don't, you're not going to talk to me like that. I'm not going to talk to me like that. I'm better than that. Show yourself kindness. Show yourself grace. Show yourself love. I'm excited to hear about the things and the ways that you're going to show love to yourself this week. And I will see you next week. And probably in the other setup that we have instead of this room. But glad I could share some time with you today. Thank you so much for listening, for watching, for interacting. Share this video if it blessed you and you feel like it would bless someone else. Check out the link in the comments to join me at A Day of Healing Safe Touch. And until next time, choose life.